joined by the former WBA super flyweight champion of the world. He thinks that he thinks a lot of people think he should be a two-time WBA super flyweight champion of the world, and he will attempt to do that Saturday night. Andrew, welcome. I'm not a fighter, but how tired are you? Are you tired of Joshua Franco at this point? Did 3 training camps for this guy, 3 times in America. I mean, what's it like fighting a guy 3 times in a row, 3 times within a 14-month period?
Yeah. Hi everyone. Thanks for your time. Firstly, yeah, you're right. I'm not tired of fighting him, but I'm tired of thinking about him. It's been like 16 months now that every day, all I've had in my head is beating Joshua Franco. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing this trilogy off this weekend, getting my belt back first of all, and then not thinking about Joshua Franco for at least a few months.
You know, can you run us through, after the last fight, the WBA mandated a 3rd fight, but it's been 9 long months since the fight. I mean, was there ever a point where you're sort of wondering, when is this fight going to happen, despite obviously the WBA mandating it?
Yeah, definitely. I was really hoping this fight would happen early in the year, because obviously that second fight only went 2 rounds. So I was fresh. I got back home and started training immediately when we landed in Australia. Even in the hotel room, I was doing some training and just was so eager to get that rematch happening straight away. Unfortunately, it kept getting pushed back, and we've ended up now in August, which is obviously a longer wait than I wanted. So there definitely was times where I was thinking, like, I hope nothing gets in the way of this happening, and Franco's team can't find their way to get another fight. So that was definitely a little bit frustrating, but the fight's almost here now, and I'm thankful in a way that we've had 9 months, because I've been in the gym every single day, and I really feel like over the last 9 months I've developed a hell of a lot as a fighter, and I really feel like I've gone to a whole new level now.
We just spoke with your brother, and we talked about that you guys sat and talked about your fight against Franco. When you ran it back and you watched it yourself, can you play back in your mind exactly what happened over and over and see the outcome that it was what it was?
Well, I've watched that fight, I'd say, over 100 times now, and it is just so clear to me that like I knew on the night that the damage to his eye was from a punch, and the more and more I watch that fight, the more clear it is. I know the exact punch that did the damage. It's at 1 minute 36 left in round 1, if you want to go and have a look. And you can see that he covers his eye for about 15 seconds after that shot lands, and I'm 100% sure that was the punch that did it, and I know that he knows that as well. He's obviously not going to admit it, but I know deep down he knows that he's not the deserving champion right now. And I know that he's going to come in more determined this weekend to try and prove and, basically try and prove to the public that he should be the champion. But I'm even more determined, and I think we're going to have 2 very determined fighters in the ring this weekend, and I think it's going to be a great fight for the fans. But I'm very confident they'll come out on top and come out with my world title.
Thank you, Cynthia. Next we'll go to Alan Alford. Alan, thank you for your patience. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Andrew. I just have a couple of things. First is, with this fight now, the 3rd time you're fighting him, do you feel as if you know each other too well, where there's nothing that he can do or you can do that will really surprise each other that might be beneficial to you winning this fight?
Yeah, I feel like I know him very well. I feel like I have more tools to my game, and I have more things that I can bring to the ring that he hasn't seen yet. I think he basically comes with the same sort of style in all his fights, so I don't think there's too much different that he can bring. But I believe there's a lot more that I can show that he hasn't seen yet. But all in all, I think it's just going to come down to who wants it more, and I believe that's going to be me.
Thank you, Alan. Next we go to Ryan O'Hara from Ring TV. Ryan, please go, unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, Andrew? Ryan O'Hara with the Ring here. Speaking to Joshua Franco, he has doubled down, on the whole, headbutt explanation. But I remember there was a UFC fighter who got a bad decision one year, and he was asked after the fight, "Hey, did you think you won that fight?" And he just went, "Hell no, dude. That was a horrible decision. I didn't win." And he got a standing ovation from the crowd. He couldn't believe it. But the fact that this is, although it wouldn't be necessarily good for Franco to admit that, that the headbutt took place, because that would look a little bit bad on him. But the fact that he's continued to double down on the headbutt, is that giving you, even more motivation? Like, you know what? I just really want to take this guy out and prove that who really is the better fighter. Is that really motivating you right now?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I didn't expect that he'd come out and say, "Oh, you know what? I lied. It was a punch." But I have seen interviews where he's tried to claim that, the fight was going the same way as the first fight. Moloney started strong. It was a head clash. I was going to stop him later in the fight anyway, which he knows isn't true. There's a complete difference between the first fight and the second fight on my part. And he could feel what I was bringing to the ring that night. And I know that deep down he knows that I'm more of a challenge than he thought going into that second fight. I believe he was overlooking me going into that second fight and just thought that he was going to walk right through me. And he got a shock that night when he saw what I brought to the table.
Thank you very much, Ryan. A lot of questions for Andrew, so we'll try to get through as many as we can before Joshua Greer. So next we go to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Terrell Van, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Andrew?
Sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Andrew, my question is, with a win, you will be the WBA world champion. What's the path that you plan on taking? Is it, to go after the winner of, I don't know if it's official yet, but Estrada versus Chocolatito winner, possible IBF? You did talk to my colleague, Big J, earlier this week, and basically you did cite the potential politics with a Jordan Cajas fight now that he's over with PBC. Basically, my question is, to keep it simple, is what path are you looking to take?
Yeah, look, I mean, at the moment, I'm honestly not looking past Joshua Franco and not even really thinking about what's next. My 100% focus is on winning this fight on Saturday night and getting my world title back. But I'm very aware that the super flyweight division is stacked at the moment, and there's a lot of great fights out there for me. But first and foremost, I need to get a win on Saturday night to make any of those fights possible. But there is a lot of big names out there and fights that really excite me to be involved in. There's obviously the winner of Estrada Chocolatito, which will be crowned as the number one at this 115-pound division. So, yeah, I'd love to take on the best and try and claim that title as the king of the super flyweight division. So that would probably be my preference. But to share the ring with Chocolatito, Estrada, Ioka, and Cajas, even Rangosai, Quadras, there's so many great names in this division, and they're all fights that I want to be involved in. But look, I'll leave that to Top Rank and my team after the fight, and we'll have a discussion. But at first and foremost, I need to get past Joshua Franco.
And Andrew, I want to touch on something that happened last time. After the fight, there's a lot of chirping between both teams when you were trying to do your ESPN interview. I found it kind of funny because you and Joshua are rightfully known as like two of the nicer guys in boxing. So it was kind of interesting to see that play down. Is there still any bad blood, or did you consider that, is that sort of like a heat of the moment kind of thing that just happened after like an emotional, controversial fight?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and as you saw, even that Franco himself actually had nothing to say. It was mainly Peter, Gus Roberts' son, who had a lot to say, and a few other members of Franco's team. But if you watch the footage that was posted the other day around social media, they're talking to me about what happened in the first fight, which made no sense to me because that was not what I was arguing about at that point. I just dominated that fight for 2 rounds and should have walked away with a TKO win. So that's what I was concerned about at that point. So yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of bad blood, like that feeling coming into this fight that, you know, Franco's been walking around for 9 months with the world title that I believe I should have right now. So there is that feeling that there's more going to this fight than just any other opponent. But yeah, most of those words that were said were not to Franco himself or between me and him. So there's not really, you know, that much animosity between both of us, and I'm sure we'll shake hands after this fight and after everything's done, and you know, I wish him all the best.
Can you tell us about what you might want to do in this upcoming fight that you were unable to do in previous fights? What you have learned as your career has gone on and improved in terms of technique?
I believe overall this experience of this trilogy and the 2 fights we've had so far has taught me a lot. And I think I've made some huge improvements, mainly because I've gone home with disappointment both times, and that's forced me to train so hard every day in the gym to improve as a fighter and to make sure that I get my world title back. So having those results in my mind and you know, really motivating me to get the most as I can out of every training session, that's what's helped me improve. And I believe what I showed in that second fight and the improvements I made between the first and the second, I've improved even more since then. But the way that fight was going, I think I'm just going to take, you know, this fight is just going to be a continuation of that. And I'm going to go out there and dominate this fight for as long as it lasts.
And I think we got Joshua Greer on, so we will stay on time here. But Andrew, before you go, I think the fight will be available at Fox Sports Australia Sunday early afternoon. I get confused with my time zones, but I believe Sunday early afternoon, Fox Sports Australia for Andrew's devoted Aussie fans. Any final thoughts you'd like to give before you head back to training?
Yeah, I believe actually Main Event TV.
Main Event TV,
the pay-per-view version of Fox Sports. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a great fight. As I said, I think he's going to be more determined this time around, and I'm even more determined than what he is. So I think it's going to be a great fight for the fans, and I'm just looking forward to getting there on Saturday night and putting on a great performance and getting my world title back. So hope everyone tunes in and enjoys the fight.